Welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief moment of silence afterwards? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the March 22nd and 2022 meetings and the agenda of the April 12th, 2022 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. We have one presentation on today's agenda. I'd like to invite Recreation Services Supervisor Dominic Mangiapane. Did I get that correct? Almost Mangiapane? Mangiapane, of course. That wasn't even close. So you went like a little. You should have gone like that. Okay.
It was a valiant effort.
That's your fault, Dominic, for having such a difficult name. Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me again this year. As you know, my name is Dominic Mangiapane, the Recreation Services Supervisor with Fletcher Hills Center and Pool. And we're here today along with my supervisor, which I thought was right behind me, Manuel Gonzalez, to cover our April Pools Day along with everything that Fletcher Hills offers. So, sorry. It's registering. There we go. So as you know from previous years, April Pools Day is a kickoff event for May, which is drowning prevention, and April Pools Day serves as a drowning prevention awareness event. So it's a free event offered to community members that want to come in and join and learn various things to be safer around the water. This is a national event that other agencies do partake in. We all partner with Safe Kids Worldwide and the San Diego County Aquatic Council, which El Cajon belongs to, along with other agencies, including different cities and the YMCAs. And we all use this as an opportunity to get us kind of ready for summer, to make sure that we are aware of the dangers of water. And between 2010 to 2019, there was approximately 4,000 drowning deaths that were unintentional, and then there was 8,000 ER visits. And this was reported through the CDC for the entire nation. In the 2020, drowning maintained its stance on this as the second leading cause of death for kids ages 1 to 14. However, if you look at the chart, this little combobulated, this is for all unintentional deaths, but if you look at ages 1 through 4, it is the leading cause of death. And this is where the safety aspect comes in, with having safe pool access, whether it's making sure that your gates around your pools are properly secured, swim lessons, what have you. It tends to be the highest drowning highest death contributor for ages 1 to 4, but is still the second leading for 1 to 14 behind motor vehicle crashes. So we use April Pools Day to not only boost our community and our programs, but it also is an educational aspect. So on next Friday, April 22nd, we'll be hosting our event at Fletcher Hills Pool. And it is going to be from 3:30 to 5:30. We've got a safety swag bag, which includes sun safety, other ways to promote water safety, both for the parents and the kids. So there's puzzles and word searches, what have you. We were also lucky enough to partner up with the John Wayne Cancer Foundation. So they'll be doing our sun safety booth with free hats and free sunscreen. And Heartland Fire has been gracious enough, as usual, to come down and let the kids, meet them in person and also climb the fire truck that they bring. So El Cajon in itself, we do a lot of aquatic stuff. We have a very awesome population that has access to a lot of swimming pools, whether it is in their apartments or in their own backyards. So this particular past season, we were going through 196 group lessons, which is a lot of kids, lots of kids. And 64 private swim lessons, which are great. These are semi-private or private lessons. We also offer swim team, water aerobics, as well as junior guard programs. And so we totaled about 1,400 participants in a 6-month span from April to October. And that is a lot. We pump them out. My staff is very sunburned and very tired, but we're ready to go again for this new season. And with this, trying to contribute to, drowning prevention awareness, the Dollar Day Initiative, we were able to have 194 residents register for swim lessons that were $5. This is an 87% discount. And, during a pandemic where, our financial situations were not certain, this was a great way to not only boost our community, but also enhance mental health and then also, get our kids safe around the water. We were also close to have, fortunate to have our Camp Cajon. That was during the summertime, mainly through the month of July. We hosted the elementary schools of Johnson, Madison, and Magnolia Elementary. We had approximately 204 students. And then in the fall, we focused on Johnson Elementary, which had 116 students. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get out away from my desk and actually teach. I got very sunburned, but had a really great time reconnecting with the community and teaching swim lessons with our youth. It was actually a lot of fun. I hope to do it again, but it piled up my desk. So, And so with all of this, we did receive an award, which I'm going to turn it over to my supervisor, Manuel Gonzalez, and he's going to give you more information on the award that we received for this.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. I get the opportunity to go over some of the accolades that we received as an agency and also our staff received today. So starting with the Health and Wellness Award that we received from the California Parks and Recreation Society Aquatic Section. We received it for dollar days overall, but one of the things that we emphasized was we all know the benefits of swimming in terms of physical health, but during the pandemic, the issue of mental health came to the forefront. And so being able to be one of the few agencies that provided swim lessons and access to aquatics was very important regionally. And so CPRS Aquatic Section recognized us with a dollar days Health and Wellness Award. And then today, the California Parks and Recreation Society District 12, which covers San Diego and Imperial counties, recognized 3 of our part-time staff, and I'm going to ask them to come up and demonstrate or show off their award. They were recognized as MVPs, and the programs that we offer through the Parks and Recreation Department rely on our part-time staff. They're forward-facing. They're the ones that interact with kids and the community and do such a great job doing it, and so this is a great opportunity to recognize them. So the first recipient was Michaela Doherty. She's a recreation supervisor 3 at Fletcher Hills Pool and has worked for the city of El Cajon for nearly 5 years, and she's making her way up. Whether it's interacting with patrons, teaching swim lessons, or training with coworkers, Michaela epitomized what it means to be in recreation and enhancing the community. She is a community leader, has infectious customer service and a can-do mindset, and a steadfast willingness to learn. Michaela connects with the community with a genuine service-oriented approach and does it with respect and humor. She creates an environment of inclusion, making everyone get the experience and joys of benefiting from recreation. So, Michaela, congratulations. And then next I'll ask Norma Jamil Oraha to step up. She's a Recreation Specialist 3 at Bossonia Recreation Center and has worked for the City of El Cajon for nearly 7 years. She is a prior recipient of the Recreation Leader of the Season Award. Throughout the pandemic, Norma was instrumental in covering shifts and doing whatever was necessary to keep the facility and programs running smoothly. She has demonstrated her leadership abilities while training staff, coaching children, and organizing programs and special events. She also helps students with special needs and serves as a translator for our Chaldean community. During COVID, she also helped the department maintain a connection with the Chaldean community by reading stories to children in their native language virtually. So congratulations, Norma. And then lastly, I'll call up Justin Nikkei. Justin is a Recreation Specialist 3 at the Kennedy Recreation Center and has worked for the City of El Cajon for almost 2 years. He is a prior recipient of the Recreation Leader of the Season Award. He is reliable and a dedicated employee, and his enthusiasm for the profession shines in his daily commitment to the job. Even though he does not have a background in skating, he took on a lead role in operations at our skate park. He is a strong leader and has taken lead roles in special events and youth sports program. Congratulations, Justin. So thank you for the opportunity to share in the accolades of our part-time staff.
Mr. Mayor, I remind our police officers and firefighters that they have far more exposure to the public than, say, Vince or I ever will, right? We just don't get that level of interaction. It's phenomenal that a lot of our part-time recreation staff, again, even has more exposure than our police officers and firefighters to the public, and it speaks. They represent us all well, and speaks really highly of the work that they do. I'm really grateful for that. I know Norma, who grew up in El Cajon. It's great to have someone that grew up here and went through our programs to come back and continue to work for us.
Yeah, congratulations. It seems like every 2 weeks, Parks and Recs is getting some kind of a national award or state award or regional award. So job well done. Thank you very much for your hard work. And that's very well put, Graham. You represent us out in the city, and you're doing a fantastic job. I did swim lessons for a long time. I was a part-time lifeguard going through college and on the beach and in pools. And so I know how hard it is. And if we're getting awards regionally, you guys are standing out. So well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. I also hear nothing but good things about Parks and Rec. Thanks very much. Okay. Angela, actually, staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, sir, no changes to the agenda.
How about council, any agenda changes? All right. Then we're at consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? No. Staff?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards for consent items?
No speaker card, sir.
I'll make a motion then to approve the consent items.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We're now at public comment. This time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council Housing Authority successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions. An item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for public comment?
We have no speaker card, sir.
All right, there are no written communications on today's agenda, and we're now at public hearings. Item 13 is regarding an adjustment to the Sandag Regional Transportation Congestion Improvement Program, and I'll ask staff to introduce this item.
Good afternoon, Mayor,
Welcome.
members of council. Mario Sanchez, city engineer. I'm going to talk about the what, why, and where of this RTCIP fee. What it is, this is an annual adjustment to our regional transportation congestion improvement program fee, and it's collected by owner-developer each time a new single-family dwelling unit is constructed, and that excludes low-income and senior housing. So the why part of it is we're required to update this fee annually, and it's based on the latest construction cost index for the LA region. And for this past year, the CCI was 7% for 2021, but the board annually increases the fee only by 2%. It's just a maxed out fee. So the fee is going to be increased by $52 for a total amount of $2,688.21 for a new single-family dwelling unit. And these fees are assessed and held here at the city, and we use them for improvements to streets that are on our regional arterials, such as traffic signals, street improvements, and overlay projects. And with that, I have open to questions.
Okay, let me see if there are any questions. All right, Maria, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, the public hearing is now open. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have no cards.
Make a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. Any further discussion, or would somebody like to proceed with the motion?
Oh, yeah, I'll move to adopt the next resolution approving an adjustment to the Regional Transportation Congestion Improvement Program fee to the new amount of $2,688.21.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. We have two administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 14 is an amendment to the Wildfire and Forest Resilience Program. I'll ask staff to please introduce this item.
Hello, everybody. 1 second to get set up here. Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. I'm Sinan Kachi of the Public Works Department. I'd like to provide you with some updates and good news regarding our Wildfire and Forest Resilience Program. This project was described to you on consent back in November when you accepted $500,000 of grant funding through Senate Bill 85 from the San Diego River Conservancy. We now return to you to request an acceptance of another $2.625 million, which I'll detail for you today. So previously we described the city's need to address 85 acres of undeveloped open space in Fletcher Hills and Hillside Park in an effort to reduce wildfires. The initial grant was geared towards planning and training efforts, but now with the expanded funding, we'll be able to make a much more aggressive approach, some of which includes capital improvements and the purchase of a new fire engine. So my objective today is to provide you with the new scope of work, the new budget, and schedule. The first three items in gray fall under the previous award of $500,000. Back in November, we focused on the vegetation management plan to identify fuel reduction techniques and prescribed treatments, firefighter training on mitigation and fire line construction, and finally in-house clearing activities of invasive and dead vegetation. The added $2.625 million would allow for the items in blue to move forward. These include design and implementing capital improvements such as removal of invasive vegetative species, grading and drainage for emergency vehicle access roads, new water services for fire hydrants, irrigation meters, and native plantings. Well, we can also approach a public outreach campaign which will educate residents on the benefits of restoring a habitat, efforts they can take to protect their homes from the dangers of wildfire, and the importance of understanding the steps to take in an emergency situation. The funding will also be used to purchase a new Heartland fire engine customized for difficult terrain. firefighter PPE, handheld brush clearing equipment, and heavy machinery such as skid steers or mini excavators, which would be used by city operations staff for enhanced brush clearing. So here's a portion of the open space that we plan to treat. That's up in Fletcher Hills. Again, the overall project footprint will cover about 85 acres. This also includes a high-profile area at Hillside Park with very heavy vegetation that's adjacent to many single-family homes. Hillside Park is not pictured on this slide. So here we've included details related to the budget and schedule. We intend to allocate an additional $20,000 to the wildfire and management plan. $195,000 will be spent on landscape architects, civil engineers, and land surveyors to assist with the design. So $35,000 for public outreach efforts, an additional $30,000 to Heartland Fire for training and education of our firefighters. And here's a big one, $1 million for the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine, in addition to some of the excavators we mentioned earlier. And then finally, $1.3 million to construct the capital improvement portion of the project. So the original grant of $500K, in addition to the proposed $2.625 million, will provide the city with a grand total of $3.125 million. Grant expenditures are already underway for equipment and training purposes, and all funds are expected to be spent by mid-2024. And finally, before we move to questions, I'd like to really acknowledge the San Diego River Conservancy for their contributions and generosity to the city of El Cajon. This also stems from staff being very aggressive pursuing grant opportunities. So with today's allocation, the Conservancy has committed over $5 million to city projects. All of these projects that you see up here are currently under design, they're bidding, or they're in construction. And I open up for any questions you may have.
Thanks very much. Questions?
The fire engine, we have a brush rig. I don't know where it's kept. And then would this be another brush rig, or would this be a fire engine like an engine we have now? And where would it be housed?
I would probably have to defer to the Fire Chief Sweeney on that one.
This would be a replacement of a fire engine we currently have.
Replacement,
and
okay.
it would be housed wherever the next replacement fire engine needs to occur.
Okay, so it's not another brush rig.
That's correct. But it'll have some enhanced abilities to access.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we ought to send a letter from all the council members to the River Conservancy thanking them. $5 million is a big deal in today's world, and I think it deserves some kind of special acknowledgement.
You don't need a vote for that, do you, Graham? No. Great. Good idea. Any other questions? Thanks. Nice report.
Thank you.
All right. Angela, did we receive any comments for this item?
We have no comments, sir.
All right. If there's no further discussion, would somebody like to proceed with the motion?
Yeah, move to approve.
Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
The last administrative report, item 15, is regarding the redesigned no panhandling signs. And I'll ask staff to tell us about this, please.
Mr. Mayor, as our staff comes down, I'll just introduce two of our members that will be presenting. Hope Gold is our management assistant in Public Works. She actually is the one that kind of put some of these graphics together. And then Mike James is actually the city's most recent hire. He is the Deputy Public Works or Deputy Director of Public Works over operations. So he's Dennis Davies' replacement. So the new Dennis Davies. But Mike comes to us from the city of Lemon Grove. He was their former assistant city manager and also director of Public Works there as well. So has a ton of experience. So with that, Ms. Gold.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Hope Gold, Management Assistant for the Public Works Department. On February 22nd, the City Council approved the City Council Action Plan for 2022. As you know, the plan identifies 6 priorities, one of which is addressing homelessness. In addressing this priority, the City Council identified a goal to reduce pedestrian traffic violations related to panhandling. As a result, staff has completed the task of redesigning the existing no panhandling street signage for City Council's consideration. Our current signage reads, "Please help," as the title line and is blue in color. We currently have it in two sizes, 12 by 18 for our city medians and 18 by 24 inches for freeway intersections. And we have a sample here. Thank you, Mike. There we go. The proposed sign reads "Panhandling," followed by "Just Say No" as the title line and is red in color. Please note that the most current proposed sign for City Council's consideration, which is shown here, is slightly different from the proposed sign included in the staff report. Thank you, Angela. She's handing out copies, and we have additional copies up front for anyone else who would like to see it on paper. This new version has removed the word "panhandling" from the body text to reduce redundancy. Here we see other variations that were considered. The final proposed sign was created with features from each of these variations and has been vetted and modified using feedback collected from various stakeholders. So thank you for your consideration. I'm prepared to take any feedback that you have at this time.
Let me see if there's any questions for you. Questions?
Who are some of the stakeholders that you got some input from?
City staff, and I also, in designing the sign, checked with neighboring cities and what their city councils had approved.
Any other questions? Thanks. Nice presentation, and I'm sure we'll have lots of discussion about these various options.
Thank you.
Okay. Angela, did we receive any comments for this item?
We have no comments.
Making it too easy for me today. Okay.
You did receive an email comment from several folks from the East County Homeless Task Force, so just make you aware of that.
And that was the one saying that they'd like to be added, they'd like to have their website added?
Correct. They added, recommended some verbiage of ecaccess.org, and they had some other language examples.
Okay. Well, we'll ask your opinion on that when we get to that point. All right. Thanks very much. Nice report. Okay, Council, it's up to you. Lots of options to consider. Gary.
Well, I came up with 3 alternatives. I had Angela pass this out to you.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look at what we're trying to say. But I had a question for you, Mr. Mayor. I know you worked in intake in a psychiatric hospital, and you have some expertise here. What percentage of homeless do you think are drug and alcohol abusers?
You're going to get me in trouble, but it's somewhere between 95 and 100%.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Probably 95, 97%.
Okay. So I think the message, the way we need to send it is it's got to be easy to read and easy to understand. And really our audience is the people that would give to the panhandlers. And so that's why if you look at the middle one here that I had suggested, panhandling, just say no. That ties in with that anti-drug message they've had for years and years, and shows them the circle with the red mark, visual effect here, then call 211, which is really easy to remember, and then free food, shelter, and drug treatment. I think we need to say drug treatment on here because what most of these people do, I think, is use the money for drugs, or a big part of it. And this is simple And I think the drivers will come up and see this sign and said, well, why do you want money? You can get free food, shelter, and your drug treatment. All you have to do is call this number. So it's really oriented first towards the person that's thinking about giving them money, and secondly, to the person who most likely is going to use it for drugs. So I think it kind of hits all the marks, and this is kind of pulled from what the staff had recommended.
All right, thanks for doing that, Gary. Other thoughts?
So, are one of these, you said something about EC, East County Homeless Task Force. Did they like any of these options that we have here on the big sheet?
I need to pull up that email. They did make a recommendation to include www.ecaccess.org at the bottom.
Right.
And I would actually recommend against that, in part because, as you recall, our existing sign, the blue sign, has a website that worked at the time, but it doesn't work now. And so I would recommend us not include a website that we don't control. We don't know whether that will continue to be paid for or what that content will be. It may actually promote policies that are contrary to the policies of the city council. So I'd recommend we not include that language. I think if the council wanted to include 211, I think that's a very safe, well-established organization that will continue to provide that. But I wouldn't recommend including ecaccess.org.
Okay, because I do like Gary's options. It's easy to read. If you're coming off the freeway and you get down at the bottom of the off-ramp, if you want to promote this, it's easy to read, quick, simple, boom, 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 and it comes out. I think the more verbiage we have on a sign, the less impact it's going to have. I do know that some of the signs around town currently are being, for whatever reason, are being graffitied over. So I'm good with whatever we come up with. I think it just needs to be simple, needs to be bold, and still give some dignity to these people. They're still human.
Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Gary's idea is fantastic. I think putting a website on a sign as you're driving isn't a smart idea. People aren't going to pull out their phones and try and go log on a website. It's not safe. 211, it's a great resource. I like the solutions-oriented approach after the call 211, which is there's food, there's shelter, there's job programs, there's drug treatment available. I would tend to agree. I like Gary's concept that he's coming up with right here.
Which one? There's three.
Well, there's not. I'm looking at them. There's not a lot of variation in them.
It's just.
Yeah, I would say call 211 for free food, shelter, and drug treatment. We have to be able to.
Which one do you like, Gary?
Yeah.
I like the middle one because it's not quite as busy as the other one.
I do too.
Yeah.
And that's because I took a speed reading class in my sophomore year of high school. Went from 200 words a minute to 1,200.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, when I drive by the sign that's on Fletcher Parkway, because it's not near a stop sign or where I'm going, I can't read it fast enough and not rear end the guy in front of me. So I think the more is better in this case.
Okay.
The other thing, maybe we could use 211's font or logo, because they have a branding thing that you recognize with all of their signs.
Great idea.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk to them and see if we can duplicate that.
Any problem with that, Graham?
Not at all.
I kind of like staff's recommendation. The only hesitation I have is the audience is only the driver. And I think the drivers would like to see that we're also offering a solution to those in need, which is what the current sign does. So I will give, my first choice was staff's recommendation. I think it's very well said and things. Seeing where the wind is blowing on this one, Gary's middle sign is good to me. I would modify it. I would take away the word free and substitute the word for. I think there are people in the city who have difficulty with others getting things for free that they don't work for. I guess that's a point of view that I think that's out there. So
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Steve.
So the middle one, if we could substitute the word for food, shelter, and again, drug treatment, there are other kinds of problems besides drugs. There could be alcohol. So
How about substance abuse?
well, I was going to say for food, shelter, and assistance to kind of cover everything else. As
You
a
know,
thought.
the only problem I have with that is I really don't want to play softball here. This is a huge problem in our community, and we might as well tell it like it is. Like the mayor said, 95% of them are drug and alcohol users, and alcohol really is a kind of drug.
There's always the kind of acknowledging what people are thinking.
Yes.
If they know that we know what the problem is, I think they're going to be more receptive.
I agree.
So, I mean, would you just say and treatment, or do you want drug treatment, knowing you're leaving?
Well, I
out
think substance
alcohol?
abuse is the more modern, acceptable way to say it. Or you could say abuse issues. But I think substance abuse.
I guess if I'm the audience that this is intended for, I'm a little offended that you think I'm abusing something, even though that's reality.
Yeah, well, that is the that's the sticking point in most homeless discussions.
I throw out for food, shelter, and treatment. Or
Yeah, I think the drug treatment or substance abuse is important because we need to call it what it is. And just like the people that go into the 12-step program, hi, I'm Joe, I'm an alcoholic. They have to accept that. They know they're drug abusers. Everybody knows they're drug abusers. What I'm trying to do is get the idea in the head of the motorist that says, hey, if I give him $20, he's going to go buy drugs with it. That's right. I'm not going to give it to him. You need to call 211 and get to some program because we have all these programs. And my understanding is every homeless person in El Cajon has been approached by some social service organization or ECTLC and say, hey, you're laying in the gutter. How about getting off the street? I mean, I've rented rooms to these guys now for 6 years. I talk with them a lot. And they have to accept the fact they need help. And I call this tough love. We're going to stop your income flow that's contributing to your self-destructive lifestyle. And it's really contributing to a big problem in our city. And that's the number one complaint of the citizens of El Cajon, is these homeless guys out there stealing bikes and breaking in the cars and breaking in the homes and doing all sorts of really terrible things.
Okay.
well, I'll die on the hill to eliminate free, but I won't die on the hill to keep drug treatment.
Yeah. Meaning,
I'd like to get rid of the word free and substitute the word for, and I can live with drug treatment.
I'm good with that compromise, Steve.
Michelle?
So my question is, it's not just drug treatment that is needed. It's also mental health. And we've heard when there was a
Good point.
Channel 8 came out, and it was Channel 8 or KOSI came out and spoke to the woman whose son was killed at Santana, and she had admitted, she's had mental health issues since then. So mental health goes along with the treatment. I would be in agreement with Steve to leave the word treatment in there because that could go for drug and mental health treatment.
Maybe maybe we can make it a little easier. Just for help.
For help.
Just
Make it easy
call,
peasy.
Call 211 for help.
Food, shelter, and help, or just for help?
Yeah.
Just for help, because it could mean anything, and not only that, but 211 is not just for homeless. 211 is for residents as well. And so if we made it more, I don't want to say generic, but if we made it so that, okay, keep telling people 211, 211, that is and especially if we can get the logo and their approval to use it on our signs, then it will also help other residents, not just the homeless.
Maybe a way you could put it is, and if you need help, call 211.
There you go. Because I've referred many people on that have been looking for help, and I've referred them to 211, and I know several of us here on the council have also referred residents to 211 for different reasons. And it's one responses that we get from residents in our interactions with the public is call 211. So maybe this is something that we can look into and make it just super easy. I like the just say no, call 211 for help. And we don't have to necessarily identify what help. Let 211 be the clearinghouse for that.
Yeah, I think it's important we say the food, shelter, and drug treatment because we are also addressing the motorist. And we need to stop them giving these people money because otherwise, it makes our city look really bad. People don't want to go to Parkway Plaza. They're afraid of these people going up and down the freeway exits. We really need to clean up the city. And I think primarily the message has to be to the motorists because a lot of these guys left are really, really hardcore, and they've been approached many, many times. And we have to cut off the funding that allows them to maintain the self-destructive lifestyle until it gets to the point they say, hey, I can't get enough money begging at the street corner. I'm going to go over to ECTLC, like that guy's been talking to me about the last 5 times. I mean, I talk to these guys on a regular basis, the people that rent my rooms, the people over at ECTLC, and you just got to say it like it is. I'm not worried about hurting their feelings. I think they need to accept the fact they're a drug abuser, and I think the public already knows it. A lot of them do, and they have to be reminded so they don't hand them the money so they can go out and buy drugs.
I think all the suggestions are good. The only thing I'd caution you is there's only so much room on a sign and only so much people can see in the 3 seconds that they're looking at it. So,
my concern with call 211 for help is that the motorist will think, if there's an aggressive panhandler here, I'll call 211 to get the aggressive panhandler off of me. And
that probably will happen.
It's not clear that wasn't meant for the driver. That was meant for the. So I guess I'd stick with Gary. Call 211 for food, shelter, and help.
What if we said call 211 for food, shelter, drug/mental help?
I'm good with that.
About the alcohol.
Well, there's only so many words we can say. I mean, because substance/mental help.
Help, yeah.
Because treatment's a long word.
Yeah,
we can
help. Yeah,
help
good.
is help. Does that work?
Does everybody agree with that? I think it's a nice compromise.
Could you repeat that, please?
Call 211 for food, shelter. What did I say? Drug/mental help.
Mental health.
Health. Help.
Yeah.
Help
or health?
I think it should be help. Drug help, mental help.
Because you don't call someone for mental health, you would call for mental help.
Yeah, or assistance. It just depends on.
Well,
I think it's a matter of space at this point. I think the shorter the word, the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with
Is that fair?
Works for me.
I could live with it. I just can't see somebody who's mentally not there saying, "Oh, and now I'm going to make a rational decision and call for mental health." They seem. But I can live with it.
I think, and I also think part of it is giving the people that are worried about
Yes.
about having signs that say no panhandling, we are able to mollify them to some degree by saying we're also encouraging people to call this number for help. So it's not just punitive.
It's the tough love thing again. They have an alternative. They have a place to go.
Yeah, and I also think, there are citizens that come in and say, can I help you? Citizens will approach homeless people, and so we're giving them a tool to say, oh, this person is not mentally there. I'm going to call 211 and see what resources are there for them. I've seen that occurring where people are getting out of their cars and interacting with some people. So,
I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Democracy at work. Nicely done. Okay, so do we need to vote on that? Or we just need staff direction. So are you directed, staff?
I saw consensus. I think we have enough direction to move forward and produce these signs.
And we asked about whether or not there was any speakers?
No speakers, sir.
No speakers, okay.
And just for the public record, the other request besides the inclusion of access, ecaccess.org, was to actually replace the word panhandling, to eliminate the word panhandling and just say keep the change. I would recommend that we use the word panhandling. I think it's appropriate in this case.
Okay. All right, I think we're set. That was fast. So we are now at commissioner reports, of which there are none. Item 16 is my activities report, and we're at reports for council members. Councilmember Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember Ortiz.
As reported.
Deputy Mayor Michelle Mitchell.
As reported, with one exception, I didn't actually attend the East County Homeless Task Force meeting, but I watched the video the next day. So
you still have to pay the fine. Okay, sorry. All right. There are no joint councilman reports and no general information items on today's agenda. We have 2 first readings of ordinances on today's agenda. Item 21 is the introduction of an ordinance to adopt a district map for council member elections in El Cajon. I will ask the city clerk to read the title. But first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
And no speaker cards.
And could you please read the... Well, let me first have... Council, do you have any questions or comments on this? Okay. Then...
The title reads, An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Cajon, California, approving 4 council districts following the 2020 decennial federal census and adopting a new map describing the boundaries of each of the districts.
I may have done this out of order. Do you need a motion and a vote to ask to read the ordinance?
Well, you can. We're asking for a motion to introduce the ordinance. Yes, you've got them reversed, but that's okay. The title's been read. So if we need a motion though to introduce the ordinance at this point.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Next is item 22, which is the introduction of an ordinance to amend Chapter 3.20 regarding bidding and written contracts. I'll ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No cards, sir.
All right. Council, any questions or comments? I'd like to make a motion then to proceed with reading of the title. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote, and the title is An Ordinance Amending Chapter 1.16 of Title I and Chapter 17.105 and 17.140 of Title 17 and adding Chapter 17.225.250 of Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code regarding microprized home kitchen operations. Am I reading the wrong thing?
Right.
I skipped a page. My apologies, sir.
Now you have to pay a fine too.
The title is An Ordinance to Amend Sections 3.20.005, 3.20.010, 3.20.020, 3.20.021, 3.120 and 3.20.130 of Chapter 3.20 of Title III of the El Cajon Municipal Code to restrict the city manager's powers and duties relating to purchases of military equipment, supplies, or other property for law enforcement use.
Okay, thank you. We have the reading and adoption of the ordinance to approve zoning code amendment number 2022-0001, and I ask the city clerk to read the title. But first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No cards, sir. And the title, again, an ordinance amending Chapter 1.16 of Title I and Chapter 17.105 and 17.140 of Title 17 and adding Chapter 17.225.250 of Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code regarding micro-enterprise home kitchen operations.
All right. Make a motion to approve the ordinance. Or
Second.
accept the ordinance. Second, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That brings us to closed session. Our city attorney will recite the title and lead us into closed session.
Thank you. The Mayor, the City Council is meeting in closed session on two items. The first is a closed session for public employee performance evaluation. The title of the office is City Manager. Second is a closed session for a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 50956.9. The name of the title of the case is 1034 North Magnolia versus, or LLC versus the City of El Cajon.
Make a motion then to go into closed session. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to adjourn to closed session, and we'll be back very quickly to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much.